The energy inside American Family Field was absolutely electric that night. Game 5 of the National League Division Series. Everything was on the line. The Milwaukee Brewers had been fighting tooth and nail against one of the toughest lineups in baseball, and the tension had reached its breaking point. Every pitch, every swing, every cheer from the stands carried the weight of an entire season's worth of dreams. The fans were on their feet, waving towels, clapping in rhythm, and screaming their lungs out. And then, Andrew Vaughn stepped into the batter's box. Vaughn had already gone deep once earlier in the game, a towering solo shot that had tied things up and reignited hope for the Brewers. But this at-bat felt different. The pressure was enormous. The Brewers were trailing, the count was tense, and the opposing pitcher was dealing heat. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, knowing that a single mistake could flip the game upside down. Vaughn stood tall, eyes locked in, his bat hovering just above his shoulder. He looked calm, too calm for the magnitude of the moment. The pitcher took a deep breath, wound up, and delivered a fastball, 96 miles per hour, belt high, right over the plate. Crack! The sound echoed through the stadium like thunder. Everyone's heads snapped up, following the flight of the ball as it rocketed toward left center. For a moment, it was silent, the kind of silence that only comes when tens of thousands of people hold their breath at the same time. Then came the roar. The ball cleared the wall with room to spare. Vaughn had done it again. His second home run of the game, this one giving the Brewers the lead in the most crucial game of the series. He rounded the bases with an expression of pure fire, slapping his chest as his teammates exploded from the dugout. The crowd was in total chaos, fans jumping, hugging, screaming. It was one of those moments that define October baseball, where a single swing can rewrite the narrative of an entire season. By the time Vaughn crossed home plate, his teammates were waiting, pounding his helmet, shouting his name. The Brewers bench erupted with life, and even the normally stoic manager couldn't contain a smile. Vaughn had turned the game, and maybe the entire postseason, on its head. The broadcast booth went wild too. The commentators were shouting over each other, struggling to put into words what had just happened. Andrew Vaughn, are you kidding me? His second of the night, and the Brewers are back on top. It was the kind of call that baseball fans remember for years. But it wasn't just the home run itself, it was what it represented. Vaughn's journey to that moment had been anything but easy. After being traded to Milwaukee, he faced heavy criticism early in the season. His batting average slumped, and fans questioned whether he could deliver under pressure. Yet here he was, on the biggest stage, with the season on the line, proving every doubter wrong. As the replay played on the big screen, you could see the sheer emotion in his eyes. It wasn't just a home run, it was redemption. It was belief. It was the payoff for every extra batting practice session, every night spent watching film, every ounce of effort poured into the grind of a 162-game season. The dugout couldn't stop buzzing. Teammates were still talking about the pitch, the swing, the sound of the contact. One player said later in an interview, "The second he hit it, we all knew." That sound, it was just different. You could feel that even through the television. It wasn't just another home run. It was one of those swings, the kind that seemed to carry a team's entire spirit with it. The fans, meanwhile, were losing their minds. Chants of MVP, MVP, filled the stadium. Children were standing on their seats, waving signs. People who had never met were hugging each other. The entire building was alive, pulsating with joy and disbelief. On social media, the moment instantly went viral. Clips of Vaughn's home run flooded timelines, accompanied by captions like, "Unreal" and "Vaughn delivers again." Former players, analysts, and even rival fans chimed in, acknowledging how incredible the moment was. The words, "Andrew Vaughn," trended across platforms within minutes. As play resumed, the Brewers pitcher came out for the next inning with a new sense of confidence. The dugout was fired up, and the crowd refused to sit down. Every strike thrown drew another wave of cheers. It was as if Vaughn's blast had lifted not just the scoreboard, but the entire spirit of Milwaukee. By the time the inning ended, the Brewers were still holding their lead. The tension never faded, but the belief was back. You could see it on the players' faces. The determination, the fight, the hunger. They knew what was at stake. They knew this was their moment. Vaughn's next at-bat came 2 innings later, and the crowd gave him a standing ovation before he even stepped into the box. The pitcher on the mound looked nervous. He knew what Vaughn could do. This time, Vaughn didn't go deep, but even a sharp single through the right side brought the fans to their feet again. Every swing he took seemed to carry a spark of destiny. In the dugout, teammates whispered among themselves. "This guy's locked in," one said. Another replied, "He's built for October." As the game reached the bottom of the 9th, the Brewers clung to their slim lead. The fans were on edge again, counting down every out. The tension was unbearable. One mistake could erase everything. The opposing team had their best hitters coming up, and the bullpen was running on fumes. The first out came on a fly ball to center. The second, a strikeout on a perfectly placed fastball. The crowd rose as one, knowing they were just 1 out away from advancing. Then came the final batter. The count went to 3-2. The closer took a deep breath, delivered the pitch, a slider that just caught the edge. Strike 3. Game over. The stadium exploded. The Brewers had done it. They were moving on to the National League Championship Series, and Andrew Vaughn was the undisputed hero of the night. His 2 home runs, his leadership, his calm under pressure, all of it cemented his place in Brewers history. Reporters rushed to the field, microphones in hand, as Vaughn tried to catch his breath. When asked what was going through his mind during that second home run, he simply smiled and said, "I just wanted to help my team win. That's all that matters." It was a humble answer, but everyone knew how much more it meant. That swing didn't just give the Brewers the lead, it gave them life. It gave them belief that they could go all the way. Back in the clubhouse, champagne bottles popped, music blasted, and laughter filled the air. Vaughn was drenched, grinning from ear to ear as his teammates poured celebratory drinks over his head. "That's the guy right there," someone yelled. "That's our hero tonight." In the post-game interviews, the manager praised Vaughn's composure. "He's a special player," he said. "He never tries to do too much. He just plays the game the right way. And tonight, he showed why he's one of the best." Even the opposing team's pitcher, the one who gave up the fateful homer, gave credit. "I missed my spot," he admitted. "But you have to tip your cap. He didn't miss it." The city of Milwaukee stayed up all night celebrating. Horns blared through the streets, fireworks lit up the skyline, and fans spilled out of bars chanting Vaughn's name. It wasn't just about baseball. It was about pride. By morning, local newspapers had already crowned Vaughn as the hero of Game 5. Analysts across the country called it one of the best postseason performances in Brewers history. And as the team prepared for the next round, one thing was clear: Andrew Vaughn had become a symbol of hope. He wasn't the biggest star on the roster. He wasn't the loudest. But when the moment came, when the lights were brightest and the pressure was suffocating, he delivered. Twice. That's what October is all about. Heroes rising when everything is on the line. And for Milwaukee, that night, Andrew Vaughn wasn't just a player. He was the heartbeat of a team chasing glory. Long after the final pitch, fans were still watching replays of those 2 home runs, reliving the magic over and over again. Each time, the same goosebumps returned. The swing, the sound, the eruption of the crowd. It was a moment that would live forever in Brewers history. And as the team bus rolled away from the stadium, Andrew Vaughn looked out the window, still smiling, knowing that somewhere deep inside, he had just carved his name into the story of a city, and into the soul of October baseball itself.